All right. The thing I want you to focus on today is I have found a really cool. I was looking for something, and I found this website, and I thought, man, this is a pretty. I love the color combination here. I like this orange as a header up here, as an attention getting, grabbing the accent color that we talk about a lot. I liked that orange. I liked the use of the yellow on top of the orange. I thought that was a cool color combination, something I hadn't really thought about before. And so I thought these color combinations work really well together. The orange, the yellow, this blue is just awesome. And then it works good with this green button as well. Then you can see, as we scroll down here, you can see some of these colors in combination. All right, is everybody seeing that? Are you seeing my screen? All right, I like this. I think this is a really good looking website design, good use of colors, very open, lots of white space, pretty good looking stuff here. And then just the combinations of the colors together, white on black, and then you also have black on white, and then you have some other really cool stuff in here. I liked the way this looks here in this orange color on the black. I thought this made a really good combination. So I'm just going to scroll through this. I want you to take a look at this. I'm going to show you what to do with this. Okay, one thing to remember is that I don't know when this picture was taken, but it doesn't look like this picture right here. Other than that, it's pretty cool. All right, so looking at this, I thought this was just a really good, the button is green on all of the pages. So this is what I did, and this is because I like this. I thought, man, this is a really interesting color combination. So, and works really well together. Would y'all agree with that? So I'm all about keeping things very plain and very simple. And this is a great, plain, simple, attention-getting, and to the point. I think sometimes we get lost in this whole branding thing where everything's got to have a splash and pizzazz and all of that. And the truth is that if you were to get in your car and drive down the road. Now, we have this happening a lot in Huntsville, Alabama, because the community is growing very rapidly. But if you were to drive down the road, and these are the kinds of things that you should be doing from a design standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, you should be doing these kinds of things. And so if you were to drive down the road and you take a look at the logos on the new buildings and the color combinations and the fonts, you'll see that everything's trending back to making things more simple and getting away from loud, noisy, boisterous, that kind of a thing. And that's a really good exercise to do. Every once in a while, I'll stop someplace and my wife say, "What are you doing?" I say, "I'm getting ready to take some pictures of this mall over here because I want to look at the fonts that they're using, and I want to do that." So that's what I did with this site right here. I looked at this and I went, "Man, this is pretty awesome. This is my version of driving down the road and stopping, taking a picture of the mall." Y'all with me? So now what I'm going to do is I've taken a screenshot from here. I've actually taken two screenshots. Let me refresh this. I want to show you something that happens on this page that I really liked. From this page, notice the pop-up that comes, or pop down or drop down or whatever you want to refer to that. But this is it right here, okay? I like this. I thought this was a really interesting use of this color over here to be able to do this in a gradient, right? Y'all see that? I thought that was just really cool. So I took two screenshots. I took one of the of this, and the other one I took was of the pop-up. So I have the homepage and I have the pop-up here because I thought that they really went very well together. And so this is, like I said, this is the headline color over here that has been taken in two directions, and we talked about that before. But then I took two screenshots. Took one of the homepage, took one of the pop-up. This, by the way, is kind of the color of the pop-up, and we're going to play with this in just a minute. But let's start out. I'm going to walk you through the process of how do you get that, and what can you do, and how can you use Designer to be able to reproduce things. But before I get too far into this, I want you to help me with something. We're really struggling with this grouping things together on the Youzign platform, and it's driving me nuts when I use it in Chrome. And I've videotaped it. I've done everything I can do, and I've sent that over to the developers. They've looked at it. They've looked at my videos. They cannot find it. So I was going to do a survey today and find out how many of you are experiencing that auto grouping thing. So if you are, just say yes right now, and I'll keep track of this and compare it to the numbers that we have. So quickly tell me if you're experiencing that and if you're using Chrome. Let's do if you're experiencing it first. All right. How many of you that are experiencing it are on a Mac? If you're not on a Mac, I'll pray for you. That was a joke. So, Peter, you experiencing the problem? It looks like everybody who's having this is on a Mac. The interesting thing is our development team's also on a Mac. So I'm wondering if there is an extension or something that is causing that, because it happened all of the sudden with a recent Chrome upgrade, and we're trying to track this thing down. But if you can't reproduce it, it's pretty hard to track it down. You have to do that in order to in order to solve the problem. You have to know what the problem is, and so this will be helpful to me because it looks like everybody who's having that issue is having it on a Mac. So but some people are saying they're also getting it on Firefox. Anyhow, somebody had mentioned in the group that I switched to Edge last week, and I didn't have any issue with it on Edge until I did something. I imported to Edge the extensions that I was using in Chrome, and immediately had a problem. So that's what I'm thinking, Art, is that there's something either on their computer that's preventing it from happening, or there's an extension that all of us happen to be using. And see, I didn't have any issue with it last week, and then all of a sudden I started having it as soon as Edge imported. There's a new version of Edge, Kim. It's built on the Chromium platform, and which is great. It's an amazing platform, but it came in. It imported my extensions, and when it did that, then I started having an auto grouping problem again. And so I think it's probably an extension, and I haven't had a chance to go through all of the extensions, shut them off one by one, and see if we can figure out what that is. If I have one more question for you, and that one more question is, that's really weird, Kim. My one more question is, I shouldn't try to read the chat and ask my one more question. My one more question is, how many of you are experiencing that and you're using Grammarly? And that thought just ran through my head because I have had issues with Grammarly crashing other sites. So that'll be the first one I turn off. I'll go through this. I've got several extensions on in my browsers, so I'll go through this and see if I can turn off what might be causing the conflict, and maybe have that help the developers track this down. So I thought this would be helpful. This will give me some information I can give them, and maybe that will be beneficial. I'm amazed how many people have Grammarly operating on their computer and don't even know it. So that's kind of an interesting. I don't know how that happens, but that was kind of interesting too. Yeah, Gaynor, we can't answer that question apparently enough, but the answer to that question is yes. All right, good. That Rose says that she's taken note of all of that, so so that's helpful. All right, very good. Thank you for your feedback. The only way that we can track these things down is that we pretty much have to have multiple people and sharing those multiple experiences. And listen, Flash has nothing to do with things working or not working. It's just simply going to be removed from platforms, and you've got way more stuff operating on your computer using Flash than you know you do. It's not a uniquely Youzign issue. And for some reason, people kind of get the idea that it is, but it's not. This is, I use Streamyard. Streamyard had an announcement last week that Flash was going to go away. Doesn't make any difference what you're on. I can promise you most everything was built on Flash at one point in time. It was the development tool, and it's going to go away. And everybody's in this, the whole Y2K thing. All right. So this is what we need to do today is I have taken a screenshot of these things right here. And this is what I'm going to do. I'll put this into the Youzign platform here. I'm going to switch this over to a white background. I'm going to switch it. I'm going to put this into, I'm going to take my two screenshots, which I've got right here and here. I'm going to start with this one. And I'm going to load that into my canvas area in Youzign. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I want to grab these colors, and I'm going to use Youzign to grab the colors, okay? And I'm going to grab a vector image, and I'm going to do this. There's 5 colors here. There's this orange and the yellow. That's 2. I have this blue, which is 3. I have this green, which is 4. And then I have the black background here, okay? So those are my colors. And I'm gonna grab this first color right here by doing this. I'm gonna grab my color picker, and I'm gonna grab that color, and now I have this dot right here is that color. Y'all see what we're doing? Grab another dot, bring that down here, and grab my color picker, and this time I want to get this yellow. Grab another one. So Eric, why don't you just duplicate those, because I like to practice being able to make things the same size. That's good practice for me. So, or getting them as close as I can and doing it rapidly. There's my blue. All right, see what's happening? Y'all with me? I'm gonna grab another one because I still have to get the green. They're just a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this. Grab this, my color picker, and that's my green. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? Now I'm going to do one more just for fun, because people have other ideas about black than I do. And so I'm just going to use this one right here. All right. Got that? I have these 5. Are you all with me? I have these 5 colors now that I've captured from this page. First thing I'm going to do is and notice I held down my shift key. I clicked on each one of those elements, and now I've grouped them together. Over on the left-hand menu, I have the group tool. I click the group tool, and it gives me the option to save those. Now I so want to talk about this. It isn't even funny since I don't get to see my grandson anymore. Now I have these 5 colors grouped together here, okay? I was playing earlier with on another platform about the auto grouping, but I have these 5 colors grouped together now. And so I've saved these as a palette. Make sense? It's a really easy way to do that. Now I have a second thing that I want to do, all right? Remember the little pop-up, drop-down, however you want to refer to that, but that hey, before you go, it was an exit pop. Y'all remember that? I have that, right? I uploaded it. It's right here. So I want to do the same thing with this exit pop. So this time, I'm going to do this so I can distinguish the difference between them. Catch this color right here, grab that, and then do one more. Take that one right there. And now I do that. All right, y'all with me? See what we're doing? I have 2 colors that I saved for my exit pop. Right? Now I'm going to group these together as well. So I have these 2 colors. I've saved those 2 colors. And they've been saved as a group as well. So now I have my primary colors for the website. I have my 2 gradient colors for my pop-up. Does that make sense to everybody? Now I'm going to start with the pop-up. I've got a square box here, 1100 by 1100. Turn on my background, and I'm going to make this a gradient background. Before I get into this gradient right here, I want to grab my 2 images that I had before, my 2 groups, and I'm going to put them up here, all right? Those are the 2 colors I'm after. This is my outside color. This is my inside color. Connie, I saved those by holding that. Let me ungroup this and you can see it. I had these 2 images right here. I selected the first one, held down my shift key, selected the second one, and then clicked right here where it says group. And I have this save group option right here. And then that puts them over here, and you'll find those under graphics where it says groups. Okay, so now I have these 2 colors. What I'm going to do, we'll put them in here so they're highly visible. Go back over here to my background, and I'm going to select my interior color, which is this one right here. And then I'm going to select my exterior color, which is the outside of this. Now, how's that look? Does that look pretty close to that pop-up? I liked it. I wanted to be able to reproduce it. I thought it looked pretty awesome. We'll go over here. I'm sorry. We'll go over here to the uploads. Pop this back in here. Is that pretty close? Yeah, it's pretty close. Kind of a fun way to use Youzign to be able to mimic something that we found over here that we really liked, and then we can create the same thing. So now what we have is we have a text. Let me grab the text from the uploaded image, which is right here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mimic the lettering here. All right. Now, the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to grab a text that's short. This text is short. And then I'm going to find a font that matches. And by the way, I think these are all pretty much, I think they're all the same font. This one just happens to be all caps. I'm confident that this is pretty much the same font. So we're going to select this. I'm going to open up my font browser. We'll go down here and take a look. I've already matched these up, but this is Oswald. And the way I know, I'm just going to do those two words right there. And then I'm going to start to make that roughly the same size. How did we do? Now, the reason why it's not a perfect match is because this scaled slightly from my original screenshot, okay? But I have this now. Put this up here. Get rid of this. Now I take this scale right here, and I want to change the color. Now, do you understand why I saved these? And we're getting really close to what that exit pop was. And when we go back over here, let's grab this, we'll put it down here. And I have the option here of my two accent colors, right? Now let's take that same thing and let's turn it into an ad, okay? We'll take this same thing and we'll turn this into an ad. Let's grab a graphic. because I might want an ad spot on my website that matches my color combinations here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that black color right there. All right. And now we can grab text. And we can play with the color combinations. We can see how that looks. Now, this is the reason why I said that about black earlier was because this is not black. That's what color black would be if it would lighten up. And I like the stark contrast of the black. So I'm gonna change it to a stark contrast. Which looks better here? I will change that font so it matches up here. It's saved for us right here in Oswald. Now in this case, see if we can make that a little bolder. All right, what do you think so far? Now we have a lot of things that we can do with this. And this could be my special offer. But because I have saved this as a group, I forever have it until I change my mind. I'll know exactly how I can reproduce this background over here and so on, right? Now in this, for this background over here, I've sliced this thing in half. I've sliced it in half. So my background looks like a sunset, if I can use that terminology. But I can play with the direction of that. I can do, so there's lots of options that I have because I had simply, and all I really did was I saved these two colors that made the color for this gradient that I thought was pretty impressive. Okay, everybody understand that? You see why we started over here? We took the things from this that we liked, screenshotted it, brought it in here, and then reproduced it. Right? Any questions? So when you find things, back to the whole branding idea, when you find things that you really like or color combinations that work really well, this is a great way for you to be able to take those, reproduce them with the content that you want. Now we can do that, Gainer. I was just going to, I'm trying to mimic the fonts that are in here rather than as close as I possibly could to mimic the fonts that were here so that I could make a graphic as an ad. Now, if I'm going to put that on my page over here, I want to make sure that I have a Google font that I can use in here. And if I was going to create this, I was going to create a page in here. Carlos is asking an interesting question that is of the nature that'll drive you nuts. All right. If you want to know how to save these colors right here, we have this really awesome tool over here. Spelled that wrong. It is. Who knows what's going to come up here? Yep. And they just changed this platform. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but I'm about to lose my mind with all these changes on the platforms. And we're going to pick a palette from a photo. Yeah, I did too. I like the old version. I tell you, I use 12 platforms on an everyday basis. Every single day, 12 platforms. I think all of them have changed in the last 3 weeks, which is the definition of insanity. So now what I'm going to do is get rid of all of this. Take this background and just make it solid white. And solid white, how's that? Make it solid white. Go back over to my graphics, grab my groups, take this one. Do this. I'm going to download this as a JPEG file because I'm just looking for the colors. Grab this. And I'm going to upload an image. Are y'all seeing the pop-up that comes out here? Drop that image in there. Oops. And that's the image. Now, I have to admit, I haven't done this since they changed the platform. And it won't let me. And you just go through here and save these. I'm supposed to be saving them. Save that for you. Now you come over here. And this is it right here. Now I can click on this. I can open this up. And I've got all this stuff right here. Make sense? So that's a long answer to your question. but that's how you go about achieving that. Now, I could have done the same thing. I could have taken this URL right here, dropped it into this platform over here, and done the same thing. I just find it easier to do it here because this is where I'm going to do my designing at. All right. Does that make sense to everyone? But this is easy for me now, and I have this as long as I want it, right? As long as I have this group together, I'll have this for as long as I want it, and I can continue to use it for whatever I want, and I'll have that color combination saved. Let's go back to what we had done earlier. Let's grab a title right here. I have a couple of options of what I can do with this, but let's save the font, this Oswald font right here. And I can save it with this, save that as a group. So the person who asked me to do that over again gets to see it right now. So I see what I did. I have this element right here. I hold down my shift key with my mouse. I select the next element, the next element, the next element, the next one, and the next one. Now I should have all of those saved together as a group. Click on the group tab, click on the save as a group. And now if I go back over here to look at my groups, what I have is this. I have my font, I have I have the colors, I have everything saved together as a group. Carlos is asking, is there a way to save just the selected object instead of all the design? Yes, I'm just selecting a single element when I hold down my shift key and select. Let me ungroup this, and you can see. So I could save just this and this one if I wanted to do that. And then you look over here, and I just have two elements here. So I have lots of flexibility with that group tool. But the cool thing about it is I now have everything, all the elements together in one batch. Right? Tell me if you think that's helpful. Now, no matter what I'm doing, if I know I'm going to work on a project where I want to have the branding, I use that word with some reservation, but if I want to use the branding, then I have it right here. Okay. And I have it saved as a group. The other thing that I can do is this. I'm going to ungroup this, take this right here, and do you see that my my text tool has opened up on the right-hand menu? Do you see this little universal icon for save? I have to tell people that all the time. This old 3.5-inch disc is the universal icon for saving something. So when I select that, go back over here to text, scroll down, should be down here at the bottom. There we go. Now the font's been saved, and there it is. And I can recover that font again. So I have two ways that I can capture this. One is I can save it as a group, like I did here. The other is I can actually save the text from here as a text here, okay? Now, where I use that save text tool a lot is when I have a special angle and I want to save that angle and use that. Like if I was going to use that for YouTube splash pages, right? Y'all know what I'm talking about when I talk about YouTube splash pages. Then I kind of think this is cool. All right, so let's see if we can create this. Let's just go back through this process one more time. And I think you'll find this really interesting. You find either video or let's do YouTube thumbnail. They used to be called splash pages, and then somewhere along the way they changed that to thumbnail. But it doesn't really make any difference. It's just actually, let's do this. Let's keep these together, and we'll move these as a whole. And that's where that little group and ungroup tool becomes really handy. I'm going to ungroup these. You can also do this. I can hold down my shift key and I can do that, and that will group them. So by holding my shift key and then dragging my mouse across the area, I can group all of these together as well. Yeah, these are not system fonts. This is a great question. Sheila's asking a question about being able to rotate system fonts. You cannot rotate system fonts. System fonts were made to be seen in one plane, and that's horizontal. And so when they are imported into Youzign, Youzign sees these as vectors and not as a whatever that. I don't want to get into the programming of that, but they're system fonts made to be seen in the horizontal plane. So the fonts inside of Youzign are made to be seen at various angles. They're made to be able to do this and to be able to rotate this. So that's what they're designed to do. And that's the reason why for my graphics, I always want to try to make sure that I use only the fonts that are inside of Youzign. And that's why I started there, okay? So if I save this text here, then this was already a Youzign font. And where you tell the difference is right down here. When it says system fonts, this system font can only be in one plane. And you notice when I did that little option of being able to rotate up here at the top disappears because you can't do that. We are not going to, the last few webinars when we were breaking down Sheila's branding stuff will not be in the webinars. We've already done that once, and I didn't want people to go back and re-watch the same, let's go through the same process, only doing it with Sheila's website. What we're going to do instead is we're going to dedicate 1 week, one Friday webinar to a live interview with Sheila, and we're going to walk through the process that she went through and what she went through as an individual business owner going through that process. Okay, so this webinar will definitely be recorded, and the recording will be posted. All right, so when I switch this back to the Oswald text, which for some reason it's covered up there. Yeah. But when I switch this back and forth, I have to refresh my screen in order to make that happen. But this is one of the most common reasons why I do that is I like that particularly. I like it particularly in, and let's see what this is going to look like in as a YouTube thumbnail video. You see this? Let me change the background here so this shows up better. But like this. Got it? And see, I like these to be at an angle on my YouTube splashes or on my YouTube thumbnails. Got it? Does that make sense to everybody? So one of my most common uses of saving a font is because I like the angle that it's set at. All right, any questions in the few minutes that we have left? Yes, yes. If you'll notice that this is saved over here, it looks like this. When I click on this, it comes in at that angle. So I saved it at the angle so that I would always be able to do this. Now I fiddled around with it earlier and changed the size, so I have to kind of adjust it like that. But yes, it's always saved at the angle, and that's the reason why I think it's kind of cool. Like, you know, that's just plain. That's pretty plain. But I have a few of these that I've saved at a special angle because I just loved the angle. This is my favorite angle for that, for my YouTube video splashes. Next week, we'll go back to Sheila. Anything else before we go? It's about time to run out of here. I know this went in a little different direction, but I found I was on a webinar with this guy, and I just really loved the look of this videos once, and so we're not doing this with Sheila. All right, thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next Friday when we wrap this up with Sheila, okay?